and sustainable management strategies. Mary recognized the corporate euphemisms. They were planning something bigger than a simple allowance reduction. She thought of Mrs. Patterson's daughter at Legal Aid, of Carol at the senior center teaching digital independence, of Mr. Guo in the lobby who'd mentioned his son was a paralegal. She called Mrs. Patterson that evening. "Rebecca can see you Thursday," her neighbor said. "No charge for the initial consultation. And Mary, you're doing the right thing." The next week passed in a blur of quiet preparation. Mary gathered documents, made copies at the library, learned terms like power of attorney and fiduciary duty. She downloaded her bank statements going back 5 years, using the computer skills Carol had taught her. The trust reduction notice had awakened something in her, not just anger, but clarity. She saw now how each small surrender had led to this point. The house sale, the trust establishment, the approved providers. Each step presented as care, as protection, as children looking out for their elderly mother. But protection shouldn't feel like prison, and care shouldn't come with so many strings attached. Rebecca, Mrs. Patterson's daughter, reviewed her documents in a small office decorated with family photos. "The good news," she said, "is that there are irregularities in how the trust has been managed. The bad news is that challenging it means challenging your children directly. Are you prepared for that?" Mary looked at the family photo on Rebecca's desk. 3 generations smiling together at what looked like a backyard barbecue, the kind of gathering her own family hadn't had in years. "They challenged me first," she said quietly. "They just didn't tell me it was a challenge." That night, she dreamed of the old house. Not as it was at the end, but as it had been when the children were young. The kitchen where she'd taught them to make dumplings, the backyard where James had built the treehouse, the living room where they'd opened Christmas presents together. She woke to snow falling outside her window, the gap in the frame whistling softly. But instead of her usual morning ritual, she sat down at her desk and began to write. Not a letter this time, but a statement. Clear, direct, unsparing. "To my children, I have been silent too long." The words flowed easily now, years of unsent letters distilling into something stronger. She wrote about the trust's mismanagement, about David's company receiving investments without her knowledge, about Michael's medical decisions made without consultation, about Sarah's digital surveillance of her accounts. She wrote about love too, fierce, unending.